Have you ever found yourself in the same recurring argument with a partner, with a distinct feeling of déjà vu? Or perhaps you've sworn to start a new fitness routine after work, only to find yourself sinking into the couch, remote in hand, once again? These moments of repeating patterns, where our intentions and actions diverge, are common to the human experience. They beg the question, are these patterns dictated by the echoes of our past, or are they something we have the power to change? In the next few minutes, we'll explore whether our lives are stuck on yesterday's playlist, or if it's possible to start composing tomorrow's hits. Imagine a classic scene, two schools of thought personified as thinkers sliding onto bar stools. The first, representing the past-focused perspective, leans in with a classic line, "Tell me about your childhood." The second, representing a future-focused view, smiles and asks, "Tell me where you're going." This conversation pits the psychological traditions of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, the great explorers of the past, against the forward-looking philosophy of Alfred Adler, the architect of the future. Today, these powerful ideas are in a conceptual battle for the narrative of a life. The winner determines whether yesterday holds us captive, or if tomorrow is a landscape of possibility. The first perspective begins with the work of Sigmund Freud, who proposed that our minds are like icebergs. The small visible tip is our conscious awareness, while the vast, submerged bulk is the unconscious, a deep reservoir of memories, desires, and unresolved conflicts, many of which stem from early childhood. Freud believed that psychological issues in adulthood are symptoms of these hidden disturbances. Unresolved developmental issues or repressed traumas leak into our present, manifesting as anxiety, poor relationship choices, or self-sabotaging behaviors. Carl Jung, initially a colleague of Freud, expanded this view. He agreed on the power of the unconscious but believed it was more than just a personal storage locker for repressed memories. Jung introduced the idea of the collective unconscious, a shared, inherited library of human experiences expressed through universal patterns he called archetypes. These are recurring symbols and themes like the hero, the mother, and the trickster that shape human behavior across all cultures. One of Jung's most crucial concepts for understanding our daily struggles is the shadow. The shadow is the dark side of our personality, containing all the traits and impulses we deny in ourselves, our selfishness, greed, and anger. When we refuse to acknowledge our own shadow, we tend to project it onto others. That frustrating argument over something as simple as washing the dishes might not be about the dishes at all. From this viewpoint, it could be the reenactment of a childhood fear, where a 6-year-old version of you flinched when a parent expressed anger. The theory is that gaining insight into these deep-rooted patterns allows for an upgrade. By digging into the past, processing the emotion, and understanding the root cause, behavior can finally shift. The only snag is that this psychological archaeology can be a long, arduous process. Some people find that unpacking the past can be so emotionally taxing that it feels like its own form of trauma. Alfred Adler, another contemporary of Freud and Jung, offered a radically different perspective. He asked, what if the scar is not the wound, but the spark? Adler's theory, known as individual psychology, is teleological, meaning it is goal-oriented. It suggests that human beings are not primarily pushed by their past, but are pulled by their vision of the future. All behavior is seen as purposeful movement toward a goal, even if that goal is unconscious. At the core of Adler's theory is the idea that everyone experiences feelings of inferiority, starting from our natural state of helplessness as children. However, he didn't see this as a weakness. Instead, he saw this feeling of inadequacy as the primary motivator for growth, striving, and achievement. A sickly child might be driven to become a doctor to help other children avoid that same feeling of powerlessness. A person who felt invisible in their youth might strive to become a compelling public figure. For Adler, this feeling of inferiority is rocket fuel. From this viewpoint, the unconscious is not a haunted attic filled with ghosts of the past. It's a strategist, actively working to achieve a goal. What one person might label as trauma is seen by an Adlerian as raw material, or that can be melted down and forged into a purpose. This means launching the business, learning the language, or choosing a partner who shares the same ambitions. According to Adler, this striving for growth is most healthily expressed through social interest, the desire to contribute to the well-being of the community. This focus on contribution is seen as the antidote to self-pity and isolation. Imagine two escalators inside the same building. The Freudian and Jungian perspective is like riding an escalator down into the basement, flashlights out, searching for the skeletal remains of past events that are causing cracks in the foundation above. The Adlerian perspective is like riding an escalator up, blueprint in hand, pointing to the crack and saying, stop staring at the crack in the wall. Let's use this opportunity to build a skylight. Let's apply this to a common symptom, chronic lateness. The past-focused, or trauma lens, might suggest that the chronic lateness is rooted in childhood. Perhaps a fear of adult responsibility stems from shaming experiences during potty training, and now arriving on time feels like submitting to an authority that triggers that old shame. The lateness is a symptom, and the cure involves excavating that original wound. The future-focused, or will-to-power lens, sees it differently. Adlerian thought proposes that the lateness serves a current, hidden goal. For example, the secret goal might be, I must be seen as flawless. If this is the goal, then arriving late is a brilliant, albeit self-sabotaging strategy. It protects the individual from the risk of showing up on time and being judged as imperfect. They would rather be criticized for being late than for their performance itself. The prescription is not to dissect the past, but to change the goal. By flipping the secret goal to a more constructive one like, I choose to contribute on time, flaws and all, the symptom of lateness loses its purpose and can vanish. It's the same behavior, but two completely opposite interpretations and solutions. One dissects yesterday, the other decides tomorrow. Consider the case of Sam, an individual who finds themselves binge-watching shows until 3 in the morning, despite needing to be up early for work. From the trauma lens, this behavior is a form of self-soothing. A psychoanalytic interpretation might suggest that because Sam's needs for comfort were not consistently met in childhood, the screen has become a giant, digital pacifier. The passive act of watching provides a retreat from adult responsibilities into a state of distraction and comfort. From the will to power lens, Sam's behavior serves a hidden purpose. The hidden goal might be something like, I must be endlessly entertaining to feel that I matter. If Sam doesn't feel like the star of their own life, they can passively consume the exciting lives of characters on screen as a substitute. The solution here is to swap this goal for one that empowers Sam. A new goal could be, I will create 1 focused hour a day for a personal project. This shifts the source of significance from passive consumption to active creation. In a small, informal 2-week test based on this principle, an individual was asked to start each day with a simple question. What am I aiming for today that makes staying up late pointless? By focusing on a future goal, the pull of the future became stronger than the push of the past. The result was a 42% reduction in nightly screen time. This tiny tweak in perspective yielded a big payoff because a compelling future goal was more motivating than the old, familiar pattern. So, which camp wins the showdown? The answer is that both offer invaluable tools. It's not about choosing one and discarding the other. It's about integration. The past-focused work of Freud and Jung gives you the map. It shows you the terrain of your inner world, highlighting where the landmines, trenches, and old battlefields are buried. It explains why the brake pedal feels stuck and why you keep circling the same roundabout. This is the work of self-knowledge. The future-focused work of Adler gives you the compass. It shows you where the accelerator can take you and provides a destination. It gives you the why that fuels your forward momentum. This is the work of self-determination. Skipping the map means you might try to drive forward, but you'll keep hitting the same unseen roadblocks and falling into the same ditches, growing frustrated without understanding the terrain. Skipping the compass means you might have a perfect understanding of every pothole in the parking lot, but you'll have no direction and end up driving in circles. Using both, however, puts you on the open road. You have the map to navigate the difficult terrain and the compass to guide you toward your chosen destination. Now, it's time for a moment of reflection. Research from Dr. Gail Matthews at Dominican University has shown that the simple act of writing down your goals can make you 42% more likely to achieve them. The act of externalizing the intention enhances focus and commitment. So, are we prisoners of yesterday or architects of tomorrow? The truth is, we are often both, until we decide to consciously take the wheel in the present. Understanding the past gives us context and compassion for ourselves, but defining the future gives us purpose and direction. The rearview mirror in a car is small for a reason, while the windshield is large. It's wise to check what's behind, but essential to keep your eyes on the road ahead.